welcome to the show. Good evening. Thank you very much for your time. And I'm always delighted when I have superstars on the show. And today, I definitely have one in the studio coming on the program for the first time. Perhaps it is in celebration of our 10th anniversary. And tonight we are presenting to you Hugh Masakala. Let me start with you, KSM. I mean, the last time that, the first time I saw Hugh Masakala play, I've read about him and heard about him, was on your platform a few years ago. That was an amazing concert.
Yes.
Perhaps you tell our audience, what does Hugh Masakala represent to you?
Oh, Hugh Masakala, I've always loved his music. I knew Hugh Masakala from back in the days when he was managing Hejole. What was the Hejole? Sounds.
Hejole, the Ghanaian group?
The Ghanaian. He was playing with them.
The Ghanaian group?
Yeah, the Ghanaian group. He literally created and played with them. And their great song, Rapete. Yeah. So fast forward, so I go to South Africa and I hook up with him. And my wife was a friend of his wife.
Which wife?
Hugh's wife.
Okay.
Elinam. So when I go to South Africa, I said, oh, let's go to Hugh's house. Hugh Masakela's house? I said, yeah. So we went all the way up to his beautiful farm back then. And that was when I first met him. And I said, you know what, I'm doing a show this Christmas. I would love if you can fly down to Ghana so that we do a show together. He says, why not? I'm like, for real? I said, yeah. You know, it was too good to be true. I couldn't believe it. I just invited Hugh Masakela to do a show with me, and he said, yeah, I'll be there. And that was it. He came down, and we had a blast.
That was a blast. It certainly was a blast.
How old were you then?
But I'm not.
I'm asking since it doesn't seem like you know
I've not
anything.
recovered from the shock that the viewers don't know that when you said to me that Miriam Makeba was your wife. I mean, do people know that about him? That Miriam Makeba, the lady who sang Malaika?
Yeah. Well, those of us.
Nakupenda.
In this
what does
group,
that mean?
I love you, Malaika.
Nakupenda.
It's an old Kenyan song, actually
That's an
Tanzanian
amazing song.
But I grew up with Miriam.
Really?
We know each other, and I was still a teenager when I met her. Miriam brought me to school in the States, sent me to music school, and started my career.
Then you married her?
She was my girlfriend when we were still teenagers.
Yeah. Okay.
But
so
we always dreamt of the possibility of going to the States and like rocking the place. Because she could really sing. I mean, very few people ever opened their mouths to sing like Miriam. And another amazing thing is that at the time when she had an amazing career, all she cared about was Africa. And nobody who's ever lived has done more for Africa than Miriam, because she's raised funds for every liberation movement in Africa. And she took the last pennies she had to educate people, to like send them to hospital, to send them to school, and invented a whole lot of us, including me. She introduced me to Harry Belafonte, and they both sent me to school in the States, to music school. And when she recorded her second album, Belafonte called me out of class. I was in the symphony orchestra. He called me out of there and said, I hear you can really play. Let's see what happens. And I played on 4 songs of Miriam's second album, and they were the most played all over the States. And that's how my career started.
Which year was this?
1962. Where were you?
Tell us about the Grammys.
Well, in 1960, summer of 1968.
68?
Yeah. When he hears this years. In 1968, in fact, in the spring, I had a record called Grazing in the Grass, and became the #1 record in America and Europe. And I was nominated for the Grammy. But it was also my most militant time, because now that I had, at the time that I had, it was also the time that repression in South Africa was really beginning to happen. And Belafonte, when I'd wanted to go back home in 1963, he said, listen, Hugh, you've been hanging out with us, me and Miriam, a band from South Africa. They'd done an album called An Evening with Belafonte and Makeba that won the Grammy in 1965. It was a folk album, and we did it with the new exile students that came and taught us the songs from the camps, you know, and then of course he said, listen, if you go back home, you've been hanging out with us, you're going to disappear and nobody knows you, you know. But I know you want to go back home, but those guys are waiting for you. you know. And I said, well, what should I do? He said, why don't you stay here and try and make a name for yourself so that when you talk about your country, people will listen, because you're making it because of the music of your people and they are oppressed. And any artist that makes their fame or gets known because of the music of their people, if they come from disadvantaged communities and they don't speak about that and they don't give credit to where they come from, then they need their head examined. So if you could like make a name for yourself here, people will listen to you when you talk about your country. And I said, well, Harry, how do I know I'm going to make a name for myself? And he said, well, we can't do everything for you. We helped you through school. You know, you're getting known now, but you have to do it for yourself. So in '68, you know, I became his proudest product. But he had taken Miriam Makeba under her arm, and she had had Pata Pata the year before. It was very...
Pata Pata was by Miriam Makeba?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I shouldn't say where were you, because you were not there, right? We were then like the darlings of the media, and all we talked about was what was happening in Africa.
Did you ever know about Osibisa?
Yeah, Osibisa started around the time that I took Hejole sounds to the States. And they took over Europe, and you know, we hit the States, but it all happened at the same time. And like Mark Tonto and his brother are some of my closest friends from way back, from the 70s.
How many children do you have here?
I have 5 children.
Okay.
I have 5 children. I have 5, and I'm very fortunate that in spite of me, they've all done extremely well.
In spite of you. Are they musicians too?
2 of them are filmmakers, the youngest ones, and my daughter, who comes before them, Pula, actually heads the family entertainment business. And my oldest son has been with ESPN for 12 years now.
Oh, the sports broadcaster?
Yeah, it's like
ESPN.
With the dreads. Yeah,
Okay.
you know, a guy with dreads, and he does all the water and winter sports shows.
He's based in the U.S.?
Yeah, based in the U.S. And my oldest daughter is in Sweden. You know, she's married. But they've all done extremely well. None of them are in the music business, but they're all aware.
They don't play the trumpet?
The trumpet is not that easy. You don't just pick it up and play it. You know?
Which a cappella would you like to do here, Masakela?
I think you should start the song.
I can't. I'm sorry. I really can't. I don't know how to do it. And I'm intimidated by your presence. So
no. Not after you've been laughing at with the absence of yourself in the 60s.
Which one would you like to do?
I wouldn't want to do anything because I've been singing all day and I'm tired. You can hear how croaky my voice.
Want it. Everybody wants something. Maybe bring back Mandela. Okay, so which one do you think he should do?
I think he's been rehearsing all day, so
But just 30 seconds of one of them. You know.
You have to sing it with me.
I will when you start.
Bring back Nelson Mandela, bring it back home to Soweto. I want to see him walking down the street of South Africa when tomorrow. But you know that song, how it happened?
Tell me how it happened.
You know, I was living in Botswana. Myself and my sister met Winnie Mandela and Nelson Mandela when we were very, very young, when we were in our early teens. Because Winnie Mandela trained as a social worker under my mother was a social worker in the most militant township in Johannesburg, Alexander Township. So when we were in exile, she used to go and see Mandela in jail, and she'd tell him, because my father used to go and visit her when she was banished. My mother died in a car accident, you know, long before that. So she would tell him what we were doing because she was hearing it from my father. And when I was in Botswana, I started a record company there, and my record company, Jive Records, which, you know, later on brought on R. Kelly and Britney Spears and the NSYNC and the Backwood Boys and all that. But it was started by a South African. So they sent me a mobile studio so that I could like play with South African musicians in Botswana. And we also started an international school of music, you know, with a lot of the expats. So on my 46th birthday, Mandela had a letter smuggled out of Paulsmoor prison to wish me happy birthday and to encourage me with the school and the record company and the things we're doing, and like, you know. And it just blew me away that somebody is in jail for 20 years and they're writing to me as free outside and inspiring me as much as they could. Okay. So I just went to the piano, you know, with tears in my eyes, and I just started singing at the piano, bring back Nelson Mandela. And my wife came in and said, I don't know that song. When did you write it? I said, Nelson just sent it. And that's how it came about.
That's a good one.
And when he was released from prison, you know, when they were coming out of, when he was coming out with Winnie, there was a song they were playing on all the stations all over the world. You know.
That's an amazing story.
But well, for me, it was a great vengeance because, like I said, when I was nominated for the Grammy, I didn't win it because at the time I was too much of a militant radical against the Western world. And so I think some guitarists and non-guitarists won the Grammy. So I never won the Grammy, folks. But I was proud that I didn't win it that year.
KSM, tell us in terms of the show again as we're wrapping up. You know, are you going to talk a lot?
With that,
are you going to say stuff?
Yeah. I'm the MC, yeah. So
you say
I have to keep them happy. I have to get the whole thing going, so that there's not a dull moment. So I'm looking forward to it. You know, I think it's going to be a very, very exciting evening.
What time does it start? 7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, and it's at the banquet hall.
Banquet hall.
Yes.
Your last word on the show, Hugh Masakela.
I think that the last word I'd like to do is to encourage as much as possible everybody to join the crusade for making heritage visible in our lives, because otherwise we're going to become a hybrid society. And we don't have to preach heritage. Through entertainment, we can let people enjoy, you know, what their original selves can be, and when many people will want to participate. And I think that if we don't do that, we're going to regret it very much when we're old and our grandchildren, our children say, I hear that we used to be Africans long ago dead. Is that true?
I'm sure that will not happen. KSM, what would you like to say? I'm just wrapping it up at this stage.
Well, I'm going to invite Hugh to join me on Friday on my show, since you did the interview, so that I can talk to you on Friday on my show.
Okay, certainly.
Yeah, we'll be there.
You'll be there?
Yeah,
I'll go see you.
We'll be there. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, it's a pleasure. It's my utmost pleasure.
I really was, I crawled into this show, but I realized that you put some magic in the water and revived me.
Yeah, we got a pretty lady to do you up, and I'm sure that also helped.
Yeah, well, I don't think that helped.
Okay. Thank you, viewers, for watching. Good night. I'll be back on Tuesday. It's a pleasure.